Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you. Another offering. Off by Sampler Platter. Yes, indeed, folks. Sampler Review Series videos I've been doing for a little while now. Go over there and try out food and drink items. I eat stuff and drink stuff, then, folks. I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff that time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie. I mean, this one's extra snazzy because it has to do with the Chicago Bulls. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's a super simple format. I'm going to go over there and try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm in my back room today, which means we get Beer Can Thunderbolt poster. Ooh, Beer Can Thunderbolt poster. Whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I am doing something else. What is it, though? Hand to Zool. I'm wearing a super cool shirt. Folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for today? Happens to be my Cyclone 9 shirt, which is a very cool shirt, man. I love this shirt. I love all my concert shirts. But what's Cyclone 9? Cyclone 9 is a sort of one-man musical project working within the realm of sort of like, dark electronica, industrial metal, things like that. That's been going for quite a while, at least a couple decades or so at this point. I became aware of their stuff a couple years ago at the time I'm doing this. The main sort of member of Cyclone 9, Nero, also works pretty frequently with a guy named Tim Skold, and I like Tim Skold stuff, so just became sort of a thing via proximity. I've seen Cyclone 9 perform a couple of times live. I actually have videos of their performance on my channel, in case maybe you want to check them out. If nothing else, I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction as far as the music is concerned, because I think they're badass. But anyway, what am I trying for you today, folks? What are we doing here? Why does it have to do with the Chicago Bulls? Well, I'm guessing it has to do with the Chicago Bulls because of, money exchanging hands and, branding. But it happens to be, boom, from Ryse Fuel, it is some cherry limeade energy drink, which again has the Chicago Bulls association. Now, for me, I grew up in the 90s when the Chicago Bulls were the peak of their powers. When you had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc, fucking the one guy with the glasses I can't think of, Horace, just fucking killing it, right? Granted, they haven't been super successful since then, but we had like the Tom Thibodeau era with D. Rose, Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, Luol Deng, all those guys. I love that era. Yes. It's got 500 milligrams of taurine, 200 milligrams of caffeine, 200 milligrams of choline. I don't even know what the fuck that one is. Sure, why not? Let's get a thing for the thing. It looks like this. Why not? Are you zero sugar? Please don't be zero sugar. Oh, no, it's zero sugar. Ooh. That's got some stank on it. Okay. All right, credit where it's due. It might be zero sugar, but it's definitely sweetened. I'm going to guess it's not aspartame. What's the other one? Not stevia. Sucralose. I'm going to guess sucralose. The writing is tiny and I am older. Sucralose. There it is. Yep, I knew it. Reason why I guess sucralose, for one thing, energy drinks usually use sucralose in my experience. But there's even with it being a cherry limeade, you expect obviously some tanginess. There's a lot of extra tanginess in this. Like it's got some stank on the end of it. I'm guessing probably some citric acid or something like that to kind of boost the. And that's a pretty common tactic used by especially energy drink companies, because that sucralose, it'll give it a sweetened flavor, but it's not going to taste quite like sugar. So if you go over there and amp up the tanginess, you mask some of that sucralose vibe. And to its credit, it works pretty well. Um, I don't know if I would even immediately think this is a zero sugar product. Because again, like it does a pretty good job of it. So there is some proper tartness at the end of that. That for me is the only thing that really kind of gives it away. Um, whew, I will say the flavors are not particularly well blended together. They're two distinct flavors. The forefront of it is a nice sweet cherry drink, and I really like that actually. I wouldn't say you get much lime aspect to it, maybe a tiny bit, kind of in the background. It's once the cherry starts to drop off, that's where you get like the tail end, you get that lime, and then it becomes very tart. So, okay. Cherry limeade is like a weird flavor combination. I don't know who first figured it out. I remember when I was maybe in high school, maybe it was Minute Maid or like one of those companies. That was the first time I ever had it, and immediately I just thought it was really weird, and I passed it around to like my friends, and they all agreed it was weird. But it's been really successful since then, and I enjoy it every now and again. And in this configuration, it's not bad. Even if, again, I don't think that the flavors in this instance are blended all that well, it's still tasty. I just like the beginning of it more than the end of it. But it's kind of nice. It creates a contrast between the sweet and the sour. And, if you watch my channel, I like contrasting flavors. So, the tartness might be a bit much for me, but as an overall experience, I do like it. I genuinely like. I'm down with this. Um, this is one of those things where I can kind of get behind it. But two questions have to be asked. Three questions. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Is it good enough to represent the Chicago Bulls? Yes, and it depends on what era. Is it good enough to represent the Jordan era Bulls? Absolutely not. Jordan era Bulls. Is it good enough to represent the D Rose era Bulls though? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean it kind of works within the how their seasons tended to go. I mean, we ended up having the most wins one year. And, we should have been able... we should have won a championship with that team. Yeah, sure, I'd say it's good enough to represent the D-Rose era Bulls. No, I like it. It's a nice flavor. Again, I've had better implementations of the cherry limeade vibe because, again, usually, you want to fuse it together better. But, I don't mind it in this capacity. This sort of citrusy hit gives it a little bit of an extra spank and, kind of helps liven up the cherry. And then, when you get that maybe a little bit, in my opinion, too sour aspect, that's definitely D Rose blowing out his goddamn legs. But they're going to be retiring his number next year. And I personally think that that's appropriate. I know some people are like, Rodman should... But I agree, Rodman absolutely should have his fucking number retired. But I don't think that should take away from D Rose. I think D Rose is a great fucking player who went over there and brought back a lot of basketball love to Chicago. Anyway, where the fuck was I going with that? But no, I like it. I think overall it's a good flavor. The zero sugar aspect of it doesn't really bother me. Yeah, that tart end is maybe a little bit much, but I can still get behind it. If I'm recommending it, sure, man. I think it's tasty. I like the flavors that are working. And again, I even enjoy the contrast. The end might be a little bit much, and I could see some people probably agreeing with me on that, but overall, it's a nice tasting energy drink that does a good job. It doesn't go over there and lean too heavily into the zero sugar aspect of things, so you don't get any abrasive sucralose flavors. It's a good one. And so, yeah. 5 things before I get out of here, though. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your year. Folks, go over there, have yourselves a truly D-Rose era Bulls, tastic rest of your life. Because as much as I grew up in the 90s with the Jordan Bulls, I was a little bit young, I wasn't like actively following it. When the D-Rose era Bulls came through, I was in my 20s, I was working my gas station job, so I was following that shit, man. I was very down. Joakim Noah, man, love that dude. Final two things. Number one, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what do you do if you can't do it all the time? I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. When we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives. Hopefully, do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, do you have a favorite sports team? And if so, who are they? Do you have a favorite era? What's your personal take on stuff? I don't follow a lot of sports. Really, the Bulls are about it, and even then, it really is dependent on how well they're doing. I kind of keep lightly abridged of them. But, point for point, it's like, look, if they're not winning, but let me know. Bye!